Welcome everyone to the first ever Basin City Freedom Rodeo pre-show. I'm your host, Clay Noel, and over the next 3 days, I'm going to bring you a lot of the action both in and out of the arena. So to get this year's pre-show started, I want to take a look at last year's champion. So to start things off in the bareback riding, we saw a lot of ties last year, and we had Jacob Lees on Bridgewell Pro Rodeo's Ted and Jaco Roper on Corey and Lang's Buckaroo. Both of those contestants on those horses scored 83.5 points. Then in the steer wrestling, again, another tie with a time of 3.7 seconds from NFR contestant Rowdy Parrott and Cash Robb. In the team roping, last year it was the contestants that are leading the world in the team roping this year. Dustin Agaskiza and Levi Lord with a time of 4.8 seconds. In the saddle bronc riding, it was another tie. Q Taylor out of Wyoming had Corey and Lang Rodeo's Diamond Fever, and Jake Watson had Corey and Lang's Rodeo's Cypress Toddy, who you're going to see out again tonight, and they both scored 87.5 points. In the breakaway roping, it was Bo Peterson who had a time of 2 seconds flat. Then in the tie-down roping, Matt Shizawa was a time of 7.6 seconds. In the barrel racing, we saw Megan McLeod-Sprague with a run of 17.30 seconds. And in the bull riding, it was a Washingtonian that we love, Shane Proctor, world champion bull rider, scored 83 points on Corey and Lang's Dirty Dan. Now, he also entered in the saddle bronc riding last year, which allowed him to win the all-around title as well. Now, the thing about this week is we are within what we call Cowboy Christmas. It is the busiest week in the regular season of the PRCA. Throughout the entire year, there are so many rodeos going on across not even just the nation, but the continent. So between the US and Canada, there are so many rodeos going on the next few days. So let's take a look at a couple of them. We've got one in Belle Fourche in the Dakotas. We've got Mandan, North Dakota. We have got Livingston, Montana. We've got Cody, Wyoming. We've got some all the way back in New Jersey for the Cowtown Rodeo. We've got one in New York. There's two in Texas, in Belton and Mesquite, Texas. Then there's the world's oldest rodeo going on in Prescott, Arizona. We've got Folsom, California. You've got Oakley, Utah. You've got the three really famous ones in Oregon, St. Paul Rodeo, Eugene, Molalla Buckaroo, and then in Washington, we've got Cedro Woolley going on the west side of the state, and then in central Washington, we've got Toppenish also going on. So a lot of those contestants are going to be running around, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest, because this seems to be the hub of Cowboy Christmas. So there is a lot that we are about to see over the next 3 days. I am so excited to bring you to all of the action. So when we come back after this quick break, I'm going to introduce you to some of the new faces joining the media team here at the Basin City Freedom Rodeo. This year at the Basin City Freedom Rodeo, we have so many things changing. This is a rodeo that is ever growing, and one of the many faces that we are going to see different and new this year, one of them is our rodeo clown, Zach Cook. Zach, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh man, thank you guys for having me. I mean, as soon as I pulled into town and I saw this setup, I was like, there's about to be a party here, and this is America. I've heard great things about during COVID. This was a protest rodeo, and a lot of support showed up, and I'm just very fortunate, very lucky to be a part of it, and just be welcomed here like I am.
So while I've got you on the pre-show, I want you to tell me a little bit about who Zach is aside from Cookie the rodeo clown. So how did you get into rodeo clowning? Because it's not something that a lot of people that were raised in the industry or even came into the industry late say that they want to do.
Yeah, so how I started out, long story short, was I'd quit my job working construction in Cody, Wyoming, and I got a job part-time, long story short, at the nightly rodeo there. It runs 93 nights in a row. And so I was fortunate enough to be thrown on the strip and shoots, and I didn't know anything about it. And so I get to working on it, and I guess a clown didn't show up, so the stock contractor came up to me and said, "Hey, I need a rodeo clown." And I said, "I don't know anybody." He said, "Listen, I'll give you $100." And I said, "I'll be there, $100, let's go." So I went to Walmart and I bought the biggest pants I could find. I bought some makeup, put it on, and I went out there. And after I was done, I was terrified. I still get pretty nervous today, which is a good thing because that's where I'm supposed to be, But when I was done, he come up to me and he says, "I want to tell you something. You're naturally stupid." And I said, "That is the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me." And he says, "I think you've got a career at this." And I didn't even know you could have a career at this. I didn't grow up watching rodeo clowns or anybody else, so I didn't really know kind of what to expect when I got into it. And my gosh, it has been such a life-changing journey just to be fortunate enough to have the friends and the support that I do, and adding to my rodeo family everywhere I go across the U.S. It's a fascinating career. It is so great.
Well, while you have been here, one of our committee members, Cameron Jinks, kind of took you and our sound man, Brian Rapier, on some adventures. Why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about that?
So first thing, we pull into town and I met this Cameron guy, and I thought, it's just some guy here driving a tractor. Little did I know, Cameron is Bill Gates, Donald Trump's cousin, whoever. He's just the most mysterious 007 of rodeo committees. This dude plans this whole fishing trip. So we go out on the Columbia River and we're catching fish on this big, beautiful boat. And then he goes, "You know what, tomorrow I think we're going to go on a helicopter ride." And I say, "You say what?" He says, "Yeah, I'll have my buddy see if he could take us on a little ride." So next day we wake up and I go outside to use the restroom. I'm in the porta potty and all of a sudden I hear a helicopter coming. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is happening." I go out the door and there it was, landing right behind the campers. And he took us on a beautiful ride in a helicopter for about an hour and some change. And we got to see all their cattle and just see the beautiful country around your guys' town here. This is awesome here.
This side of Washington definitely is a hidden gem because everyone thinks of Twilight or Seattle when they think of Washington, but this is such a beautiful area. So you have to go put some makeup on here shortly.
Yes.
But before he gets into that Cookie persona, what can we expect from Cookie this week?
Well, we have an action-packed rodeo. There is some of the best in the world coming here to perform for this town. And little what I do is I just kind of glue all the pieces together and just kind of interact with everybody and make sure everybody's having a good time. So hopefully we'll be able to get some acts in and do some goofy shenanigans around the arena and just have a good time, have a party tonight, and see how it goes, kicking it off the rodeo tonight.
Well, I am excited for you guys as the audience to see Cookie, and I'm so excited for you to be here and to join our media team. So thank you so much for joining me, Zach.
Thanks for having me.
When I come back, we're going to introduce another new addition to our media team, Mr. Al Parsons. Welcome back, everyone. I have the new voice of the Basin City Freedom Rodeo, and we're going to wrap up the last segment of the pre-show. But before we do, and before we get into some contestants to watch tonight, I want to talk to the voice that you're going to be hearing all weekend, Mr. Al Parsons. Al, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Clay. Appreciate being here. What a beautiful facility, what a beautiful place, and a beautiful week it's supposed to be.
What are you so excited about this week?
Oh, I'm all about freedom. I'm all about Basin City being the voice of freedom in the Pacific Northwest this weekend. So really, I'm excited about things that are different. And when you get here, everything is different. With the grassy slope, you see it back in South Dakota, you see it in Minnesota, but you don't see it right here. And I love what I see. Everything is patriotic. Everything talks about what we're really standing for this year in freedom.
And because everyone's going to be hearing from you this weekend, I want to take a second just to let the audience get to know you a little bit better. So tell us what it is about announcing specifically that really drives it home for you within the rodeo industry.
It's been something that's been dear to my heart for a long time. I tried to be a contestant for a long time, and after I decided to give that up, just went to work for a while, came back and wanted to get back into the sport again. Well, announcing kind of picked up. You want to have a voice that is going to put something out there, but education is a big part of what I love to do. And education in rodeo to everyone watching nationwide is something that is absolutely amazing to me. When you get to educate them not only about the sport of rodeo and about our Western heritage, but about the animals, about the contestants, about what we're doing right here, and then again in Basin City, you get to educate them about freedom.
And I think that's so wonderful because, like you said, it is so freedom-based here at the Basin City Freedom Rodeo. But we have such a new crowd of contestants this year with joining the Tour Series, the Cinch NFR Playoff Series. And so I think it's going to be quite an interesting crowd, huh?
I think it's going to be great. You know, last year we seen how everybody tries to make the push for the Governor's Cup back in the Dakotas. And I actually did the last rodeo of the season last year in Edmonton, Alberta. So when they were done doing the Governor's Cup, some of those contestants got a chance to come up to Edmonton to make the very final run of the year going into the NFR. And this being a huge part of that this year, the money that's added, I mean the prestige that they get to come out of this one, it is going to kick and launch a lot of cowboys and cowgirls into going to the Governor's Cup this year.
Yep. And within that, let's get into some of our contestants that we will see tonight. Al, why don't you start us off in the bareback riding?
You know, my pick, I believe in the bareback riding this year. I go back up to the Northland of Canada for this. Orrin Larson, you know, he's from Manitoba, but now also makes his home down in Nebraska. But I think one of the things about him is the stock that he's got drawn this year. Martha from the Bridwell Rodeo String. This horse has been an average of 43.5 all this season. I mean, she's bucked almost everybody off. Orrin Larson, however, I believe that with his long legs, his sticky figure, this guy is going to be able to hang on and spur stroke himself to a win this week.
Yep. I've got another Canadian big surprise, Cody Lamb on Glacier Bay from Corey and Lang Rodeo. Now, Cody has come close multiple times over the last 7 years to making the NFR. He's ended up top 25, top 20, and he hasn't rodeoed a whole lot this year. So I think he's going to be well rested, and this is a great horse from Corey and Lang, so I'm excited to see what Cody can get done on him.
Yes, it's a great matchup this year. And actually, when you go from there and you walk right into the steer wrestling, you know, the big man's event of rodeo, and you take a look at what we have to offer. So many contestants here for 3 nights, but also in slack. I mean, they've got close to 100 contestants coming in slack this year. I am going to go tonight with Blackfoot, Idaho's Stetson Jorgensen. Now, this guy is currently right now number 3 in the world standings. He's got over $60,000, not including what he just picked up in the last, 3 or 4 days, but a 4-time Wrangler National Finals qualifier. This cowboy at 31 years of age has got nothing to prove, but yet he's going to come here knowing that there's a lot of money to be made.
Yep. I think Rowdy Parrott, who is last year's co-champion in the steer wrestling, is going to come out and do well. We've seen him do well in this arena, and I think he's going to come out and do it again. He's sitting 32nd in the world right now. He's got a run average of 75% and a time of 6.5 seconds. And at this arena, you don't always necessarily have to be a 3.4 to win it. Sometimes a little bit longer like that can get you in the money. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. I
agree. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch as well. Team roping, grabbing your dancing partners and coming into this arena, it's really, really built for team roping. It's a great arena for that. They can turn left on a dime out here. Chad Masters, Cedar Hill, Tennessee, along with Wyatt Cox. I believe this is going to be my pick for this year. Last year they were 5.8, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be 5.8 again. They know this arena, they know the stock that they're going to compete on, they know what they need to do. When you talk about a 15-time NFR qualifier, 2 world titles, well, Wyatt Cox comes in and he's currently right now, I believe, number 17 in the world. So things are going to be going really well for him. He's made a lot of money over through Colorado for different places like that. But coming out of a small college town in California, they had time to rope all season long.
Mm-hmm. I've got Coleman Proctor and Logan Medlin. They're both sitting in the top 10 in the PRC standings right now. Coleman Proctor has a run average of 67%, whereas Logan's is 50, but their average time is the exact same, a time of 4.65 seconds.
Wow.
And again, I think a fast time here is really going to help set them up for success this week. So let's get into the next event.
Well, saddle bronc riding, it's a classic event of rodeo. So many bronc riders are going to show up here this weekend. I believe we got close to 15 a night, and there would be a lot more if we had another day to go. But I'm going to go back to Canada again. I got to do it for tonight. Sawyer Erickson. He's got $21,000 made in PRCA earnings right now, but in Canada he's sitting number 1 in the country. He's just coming south of the border right now for this Cowboy Christmas run, and I believe that all of that momentum that he made up in Canada is going to bring him really good luck tonight. He's got another Bridwell bucking horse called High Roller Blue. It could be a bareback horse, it could be a saddle bronc horse, but they've chosen to put him in the bronc riding tonight. 42-point average. You know, if we can team up with that, or if Sawyer's really on his game, it could be 84, 85, 86 points.
I have got the wild man, Wade Sundell. I feel like Cowboy Christmas really brings out a lot of the contestants that may have been resting up the rest of, earlier on in the year, but Wade is one of those ones that is going to come out, and he's got Cypress Toddy from Corey and Lang Rodeo. They tied to win the rodeo last year on this horse. Wade has, with his time off, he still has a ride average of 81.5 points and an 69% ride average. And I think it's going to be, he's kind of one of those ones that's all or nothing. He can be very consistent, but when he's really in that all or nothing mode, he's going to do something very explosive, and I can't wait to see what he gets done tonight.
I agree. And Mike Corey actually gave that horse a little bit of time off, to rest up a little bit. So that horse is ready to fire. He's a great one.
Yep.
In the breakaway roping, I go back to Wyoming, go to Sundance, Wyoming for Peggy Garman. She's not really high up in the world standings so far today, but she, I believe it was last year, she set an arena record in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And somebody that can do that at one of the largest rodeos in the world, the daddy of them all, I believe that she can do great things right here over the 4th of July as well.
Yep, I have Brittany Carlson, kind of a local gal. She's originally from Findlay, Washington, and then married team roper Andy Carlson out of Hermiston, Oregon, and they just had a beautiful baby boy this year. But she was just 3.2 seconds last night to get the first ever performance win at the St. Paul Rodeo. And she's kind of one of those ones, she's been slowly building up since coming back from having a baby, and so she's just going to keep getting better this summer.
Yes, I agree. Well, tie down roping, the guys' sport of the breakaway roping. Trevor Hale is my pick, going back down to the Lone Star State of Texas for this one. Top 20 in the world standings. He has been on a roll. This guy has absolutely been on a roll. You go back up to Canada over the 4th of July. They started things up there July 1st because of Canada Day, and they've gone to a lot of big rodeos from Ponoka to Williams Lake and so on. But this cowboy right now, these are not even up to date on him as far as standings go. Top 20, he's probably closer to the top 15. But he's been all the way from 6.1 in Lubbock, Texas. He's been 7.1, Casper, Wyoming. This guy has really come along in the last couple of years, and I just believe tonight is his night.
Well, I hope it is, but I also hope it is for Weston Hughes, also in the tie down roping tonight. He's sitting 18th in the world, and he's another very consistent competitor. He's got an average time of 10.83 seconds and an average run percentage of 73. So I think it's going to be quite the rope down tonight.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Yep.
You're right. Well, the most beautiful event and the fastest event in all of rodeo, the ladies barrel racing. I am going to go to a lady that we're not going to call her close enough to hometown unless you put a big enough radius on this place, but I am going to say the lady that used to be from Ridgeville, Washington, that now moved down to Whitman, Arizona, a wife of a firefighter, was great in the barrel racing for such a long time. Her first trip back up to the Northwest again, Allison Van Cole. I just have something about this cowgirl over the years. She's had a great horse. Now her kids are growing a little bit more so that she can concentrate back again on barrel racing. I believe that she's put enough time into this horse, pulling it back up to the Pacific Northwest, that tonight is her night.
And on the horse side, I've got Casey Kaiser. Now, last year she ran her Palomino horse, which is unfortunately out due to injury, and she told me that tonight she's going to give her young one a chance, Puff. So I'm going to give it to the underdog and see hopefully how this young horse does for her. I'm excited.
Good job. Yeah, I am too. Well, bull riding, again, everybody sticks around for this event. You got to love it. One of the more dangerous ones out here, and I'm going to take a cowboy of danger tonight. A lot of people told me don't do it, but I'm going to. Browning, Montana's Dakota Lewis. He doesn't have that much made in PRCA career earnings as of this year, but he's been treated well at the Extreme Bulls. Everything has been going his way. 84 points to get a piece of Sisters, another 85 there. 4 times Indian National Finals champion, not just qualifier, but champion. And he is devoted this year to really go to a whole lot more over the 4th of July and beyond. I'm going to take him because of Corey and Horse, and my Corey has got so many great bucking bulls out there. But Cold Turkey, I like this. There were 87 points at Salinas at the big night bull riding. Brady Portnier was 86 points on this. Very rideable bull, and I think it'll fit Dakota Lewis very well.
I've got Trevor Reese in the bull riding. He's sitting in the top 35 in the world. He's 33rd right now in the PRCA standings. He's got an average score of 87 points, which is kind of high, but a ride average percentage of 33. So he's kind of one of those all or nothing cowboys. And he's got Shaved Ice from Corey and Lang, which is such a great bull. They did well on it in Redmond this year at the High Desert Stampede. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting matchup tonight.
I agree with that. You know, we've got so many great contestants up tonight. It's a packed house. It's going to be a packed slate as far as contestants go. So we have so many cool things to look forward to.
We do, and we are just about to get started here in Basin City for Performance 1 of the Basin City Freedom Rodeo. So we are one hot song away from getting this year's rodeo kicked off.